Hey, it's Nick, back in my garage. You know, the only thing I love more than my Dodge Grand Caravan here in my garage is all my books. You say books?
Books.
Yeah. Here to talk about something that I think is pretty important. It is understanding the difference between value and money. And I think that is what separates the really good businessmen, the really good entrepreneurs, the people who are really good at personal finance from the people who are not. It's understanding the difference between value and money. So what do I mean? I'm going to give you a couple examples. Number one, let's say your business needs some equipment. Let's say it needs a truck. Go to the dealership. You look at two trucks. One is 5 years old. One has 60,000 miles on it. That one's $15,000. One of them is brand new, fully loaded, platinum, and it's $70,000. So a real entrepreneur understands that there's something off there with the value and the money. So the amount of utility, the amount of money that truck is going to make you, it's not going to change much, right, between a 5-year-old truck and a brand new truck. The value that it has to the business is not that much different. So the savvy entrepreneur can recognize that. The savvy entrepreneur will never buy a brand new Ford F-250 Platinum for 70 grand. He'll buy the used vehicle that will provide the same utility every time, especially when he's going to save $55,000 buying that truck, plus all the interest over a couple of years. So the second thing that is so important is people think early on building the business that the dollars in your checking account are really what you're making and how much money you're making. So people will work and work and work and work, and at the end of the year, maybe they only got 50 grand in profit. Maybe they only have $50,000 that they've made in profit. Well, a savvy entrepreneur understands that he's created value, that there's value there beyond the money that you have created. What do I mean by that? The value is in the fact that you have built a business that is going to produce money for you from here on out, that there is earning potential every single month forever, right? There's value there. And there's also value to sell it on the open market down the road. So you're adding value. Okay, so it's not just that $50,000 in cash that you've made by really grinding and sweating and working in the early days, right? I wouldn't be where I am right now if I hadn't grinded and worked and sweated in the early days, especially if I thought I was only making what was in my checking account at the end of the year because it wasn't that much money. Okay, the third way is really understanding the value and where they're putting their time. So you're not always going to see an equal dollar for dollar cash return on your time. You spend your time out working, servicing a customer, yes, you see money, right? Maybe you see $50 an hour doing that work. The real entrepreneurs understand that the value is really in the time that you're building the business, the time that you're putting in the systems, the time that you're doing training, the time you're doing things that don't necessarily put money in your pocket. Hiring a new employee, training somebody, fixing a system, implementing a new marketing plan. Those things might not put money in your pocket that minute, right? But there's value, there's long-term value, there's profit 3 months from now, 6 months from now, 1 year from now. The people who understand value are understanding how important it is for the owner of the business to not be out on the truck, working for $50 an hour, even though that's what people think is where the money's at, right? I need to be out servicing customers because I can't afford not to. It's not true at all. An example of that is me, my business. People ask me all the time, family members, friends, they all say, Nick, you're only busy twice a year. You got storage pickups, you got storage deliveries. What do you do the rest of the time? What do you do the rest of the time? What do you do in January when you got absolutely nothing going on? What about November? Nothing going on. I say, that's when I make my money. That's when I'm adding value. That is when what I do is so important. They don't understand that that's when we are revolutionizing our business. That's when we are building out our systems. That's when we're implementing our training programs. That's when we're implementing our recruiting. That's when we're doing all the things that make everything else easier, that make the business scalable, that make the business grow. That is when we make our real money. And the people who are just looking at the dollars and looking at the dollars returned for time right now, right this second, would never do that stuff because they're not getting paid right then. They're getting paid 6 months from now. They're getting paid a year from now. So you can extrapolate this stuff all the way out to your 5-year plan. I talk all the time about doing your 5-year plan. Every step you're taking right now is adding so much value later on. Business is about momentum. You get some customers now, you get more customers the next year, more customers the next year, then you get some employees, then you get a business that's thriving and growing. The stuff you do on day one when the money's not there yet is just as important as the stuff you're doing later. The value and the money are not always equal. It's so easy to think that trading time for money and value, they're all equal. Money and value are equal. No, they're not. It's the job of the entrepreneur to make value and money equal, right? You're gonna bridge that gap between doing something now that's adding value later and turning that into money later. That's what you're gonna do. So I just think it's so important to understand the difference between value and money. When you're buying things, when you're purchasing things, just because somebody wants X money for it or X dollar amount for it does not mean that it's worth that much money. When you're doing something, when you're spending your time doing something, you got to realize that it's not always equal and as far as the money that you're getting out of spending your time. And when you're putting in systems and building your business and doing that smart work, working in quadrant 2 on the stuff that's not urgent, the stuff that's so important but not urgent, that's when you're adding your value. And that's where the real entrepreneurs, that's where the people who are going to be successful, really, they see it. And the same thing goes for people working dollars for companies getting paid by the hour. The people who just kind of want to see their instant return on their money, that instant gratification, that instant value and money collide, they're the ones that just keep slugging away, working without going above and beyond. Because going above and beyond at a job where you're making $10 an hour, you're not going to make more money by going above and beyond, but you're adding more value. You might get an opportunity. You might get something down the road that converts to money later. So you can implement this same principle in any part of life, especially business. So hope this helps. Talk to you soon.